Alrighty, I saw a clip. This is from a couple days ago. Behind the headline, or beyond the headlines, which is more of a left-wing channel that kind of does stuff that's kind of off the beaten path, which I appreciate. I like off the beaten path type of stuff where it's like, let's talk about, where it's like, let's talk about the same stories and, it's just flies on shit basically. But they were talking about AI and how AI is being used by the United States to counter China, particularly to take over the use of our nuclear arsenal, or however way you want to pronounce nuclear. And the thing is, there's a lot of fear of AI, and I think it's well founded. What I would say though is, they were listing some of those places off with this fear of talking about AI, and particularly one was in California. Now, of course, California's had power outages, this and that. This may change, this may not, or they probably have their own power for these places that are developing AI. What I would say though about AI is this: is that you do worry about electricity, and you have to have some sort of way to do it, to get it there. Wind power is kind of in its infancy still. I think solar power is a little bit more advanced, but it's basically just kind of building off of, like battery power, in my opinion. And I'm not, like I say, my disclaimer is I'm not in that field, so don't take anything of what I say as any sort of legitimate criticism or any sort of legitimate, you know, basically I'm talking out of my ass. Okay. So anywho, but let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this. So basically the electricity aspect is there, and how are they going to get that thing? Because electricity is a wild animal that, that's why you have, that's why you have breakers. That's why you have, you know, um, various defenses against blowing things up by electricity, right? To defend, protect it. I was gonna say defend it, but that, yeah. Anywho, I think it's a real struggle. But the last aspect here, as we see, is human nature. I think that given more time and given more resources, and when it's forced upon you, I think that drones and AI can be countered. And it's just like the Cold War between, fighting radar in the Second World War and this constant back and forth game that occurred with that. The same thing with anything else is that AI is going to be something that will be challenged. And I would hope that people, there are enough savvy people out there who have this knowledge and are able to teach ordinary people and will figure out ways to dismantle it. That's basically hope, but that's how I feel about it. I think AI is a concern, but I think that there are limits to what this system can do. With any human-made system, there are limits. And you just have to be able to look beyond the propaganda, look beyond the fear-mongering, and be able to see it for what it is, right? Instead of all this putting up the, destroy the illusion, right? If you remember the movie Enter the Dragon, the enemy is merely an image. Destroy the image, and you will, like I say, that's the image of the United States, right? That it's an unbeatable force, And you'll hear this nonsense even from so-called lefties who are like, "Oh, America is the greatest military force ever." It's like, for conventional warfare, sure, but for a guerrilla war, no. For a actually trying to win hearts and minds? Well, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The United States is awful at that. We've seen that with Afghanistan. So my take is this is it's good to have a healthy fear of it, but you don't want to fall into this trap as I have done before, where it's just like I fear it and I don't know what to do. You have to be able to just say, there's a lot of things you know, you have to accept this. There are many things in life that you cannot change, but with a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of knowledge, it's a dangerous thing. But once, if you have the right people around you and you're able to learn how to defeat it, then I think you're on the right track. And, you know, obviously the fear is the real fear of AI is that, you know, the AI doesn't take over everything, is that we become the robots. There is that aspect, you know, where it's like, you know, you'll have the phone calls and whatnot. Hello, you know, hello, would you like to, you know, or hello, we see that you need help with your phone. Got it. And they do all that sort of thing. And you start talking like a robot because of it, because if you don't say it just the right way, it won't let you in. So that is part of the fear. But once again, though, I think that I don't want to live in that, you know, depression. Basically, I don't want to live in that black pill to say, "Oh, it's going to destroy us all," this and that, and living this, you know, this very, you know, depressing world where it's just like, "Oh, my piss earth and all this." I don't like living in that. I don't like living in those sorts of worlds, and I don't think it's going to be completely like that. Um, yeah, like I think that's all I had to say on that. Maybe that's more of a kind of maybe an empty optimism point of view. Well, that's how I feel about it. I'm tired of feeling depressed about it. I'd rather just live my life. That doesn't mean just drink and party and just ignore everything. No, it just means being aware of it, but not falling into the trap that a lot of folks want you to do, which is to simply give in and say that we are your only saviors. It's like, no, I know you're not going to save me. You know, yeah, you're not a Captain Save-A-Ho. You're not going to save me. You got to save yourself to a point, right? You have to be able to take care of yourself and find out information on your own. Anyway, I think that's all I have. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed this. See you later. Goodbye.